Okay, I think we're all here. Thank you very much for joining for the first, well, actually it's the 13th GGP-Connect webinar, but it's the first one after we had a bit of a summer break. So I'm very happy that the GGP-Connect webinars are back for a new season in the upcoming month, one session every month. And today we kick off this new season with Marisa Miodosky from the Buenos Aires regional team. And Marisa is an advisor at the Buenos Aires Statistics Bureau. She's going to tell us a bit about fielding the GGS in Buenos Aires, which is actually taking place right now. So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Marisa, and she has actually asked me to share her slides for her. So Marisa, maybe you would like to introduce you briefly, and then I'll start sharing your slides.
Okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It is really a pleasure to be with you all, and also kind of a dream come true for us, for the Buenos Aires Statistics Bureau. Being part of the GGP has been a deep wish for us, and has only been possible thanks to the NIDIS support, a strong team effort, and also the determination of my manager, my boss, Maria Lago, who is the head of the demographic department at the Statistics Bureau, who unfortunately cannot be with us today due to a minor health problem. So I will try to represent her as good as I can. I am not a demographer. My background is in political science, and I joined the Bureau in order to support them to have like a more strategic thinking, and in order to make stronger coalitions and partnerships with other actors for our data to be better used and better known. And this is one of our aims with joining the GGP, the Gender and Generation program. We have worked against the clock in order to join the pool of countries who have already done the field work. And I'm going to tell you about that process. And the aim is to have the data ready in order to have our production to be comparable with the rest of the countries. So Lynn, if you want to share the presentation, I can go over the process that we have gone during these 2 months, I think, that we have started with exchanges with you, with Voxage, who has come to Buenos Aires, and we have like an excellent team meeting here, and we are already in part of the team. Can you see the presentation well? So please go to the next slide. There we go. Perfect. Thank you very much. So, which were the main reasons for the Buenos Aires Statistics Bureau to participate in GGP? As you probably know, GGP is a project where countries take place, not cities. We believe that we are the first city to be a member of this relevant coalition. So, why we decided that it was relevant for us? First, because the demographic characteristics of the city of Buenos Aires are very similar to any European country. We have longer life expectancy rates, particularly for women, and we have very low birth rates. The population has not significantly grown since the last 3 census. We are now waiting for the results of the last census that took place 3 months ago. But we have a pretty stable population and a kind of old population. So we believe that our data will be very comparable to the trends that are observed in the European countries. The second reason to be part is related to my role. As I mentioned before, we want to be part of international consortiums. We want our data to be known and be used by other researchers and policymakers. And we have a good experience by joining with other international or foreign organizations. For example, with Bristol University, we developed the multidimensional poverty index, which has been used not only by that university, but also by our social development ministry in order to predict poverty in some of their conditional cash transfer programs. And this is what we really want to happen with the data, that policymakers use our data for decision making. We have another relevant experience with another foreign institution, this time an institution from the region, from Latin America, the Colegio de Mexico, with whom we developed the demographic retrospective survey, which delves in similar aspects of the GGP, but with a different data collection method. And we conducted that survey in 2019, and this year we are processing the results and working in a joint publication with our Mexican colleagues. The other reason for us to be part of this program is that we want to innovate on permanent basis. And for us, this will be the first panel survey that is available not only for the City of Buenos Aires, but also for all Argentina. So we want to set a precedent on researching many times to the same population. And this will be a challenge for us because we are part of we are an independent institution, but we are part of the government. And sometimes with the changes of administrations, this could be challenging because not all the people remain in their positions. So here we will need some support from you institutionally in order to guarantee that we will be able to conduct this survey in 3 years. And finally, we wanted to be part of this program because since the new mayor came into office, and this happened in 2020, he set two thematic priorities for his administration: gender and youth. So we believe that this data will be very relevant in order to feed this policy, public policy agenda. So we are working against the clock, not only in order to have comparable data with the other European countries, but also to have this data be able to be used by the current policymakers. If we can move to the next slide, please. Cool. So what are the expected results that we are hoping to achieve with this survey? First, to complement other data, other information that we have been producing for a long time. This data comes from other surveys, the time use survey that we have conducted twice in the city of Buenos Aires, and also tells information about time use and the different roles within the household related to different tasks. Then we have this survey that I just mentioned, the EDER, the retrospective demographic survey that we did together with Mexico. But again, this is not telling us it's not showing a complete picture. And we believe that with the gender and generation survey, we will have like very strong complementary results in terms of projections, like what are young people thinking about their future, how they are planning to live in the near future with their parents, without their parents. These aspects are not dealt with the other instruments. And also, we think that this will provide much rich information to understand with qualitative data the demographic trends in the city of Buenos Aires. The other expected result, and this we have high expectations on this, is that our data will be used by you, by the consortium. So we want the data that we produce to be comparable with other countries, with other regions, we want to see how we, the porteños and porteñas, the people who live in the city of Buenos Aires, look like relative to others, and that you provide insights for us. Like we want to learn from you, and we have also high expectations in having a joint publication with the GGP. And this is very, very relevant for us, not only because we want more data and better data and new insights for policy making, but also because we want to be really well integrated to the consortium, because this gives us also credentials to continue working with other institutions, and we believe in collective actions, in collaborative research. And also, we would like to learn from you. We have been producing data and reports for a century now. You should know that our bureau is older than the National Statistics Institution. It was because due to the way that Argentina was built, and though we have a federal country, many things are very centralized in the city of Buenos Aires. We have been producing data for more than 100 years now, but we always want to innovate and to learn more, because we believe that we have been doing kind of a similar work for a while. So we are really willing to learn and to incorporate new research methods and new questions, and we believe that this is a really good opportunity for us. Next slide, please. But as I mentioned before, coming to this stage that we are already in the field, I will show you a timeline later, has not been easy. First, because we are a city and we are part of a political, public administration, and our budget is allocated by our finance ministry. And maybe you are aware, but we are not going through a very positive economic moment in Argentina in general. We are suffering another economic crisis. So, and added to that, we have other political problems that are related to the relationship between the national and subnational levels. So our budget has been cut, and though we have planned to conduct this survey last year, when the time arrived to go into the field, we realized that it is not a priority for our administration, so we didn't have the budget. So, and it is very expensive for us to be part of this consortium. We have our own team, and we can conduct the field work because we have our own surveyors. But in order to pay for the fees and to be part of the consortium, which are where we need international currency, it has been very difficult. Not only because it is expensive, but also because we have many restrictions in order to wire dollars from Argentina to any country. So we have to have very creative, and here I want to acknowledge the support given by our neighbors from Uruguay, who also guided us on who would be interested in funding this sort of projects. So we had a strong work in order to connect with the possible funders, and we connected with many. We called the World Bank, the UNDP, other local organizations who are universities, who are also are sponsored by other international organizations. And finally, we got the money from the Inter-American Development Bank, who also has sponsored this survey in Uruguay, because they are deeply concerned about gender in Argentina. And their next country report is about that. So they were very interested in producing this data and having this data in order to have like a update and quality information to do the diagnosis and also to design their policy lines for lending to Argentina in the next in their next time period. So what we did basically is that we were creative to find within a loan that they have already gave to Buenos Aires City a portion that has not been used and was aimed to produce data on youth and data on what we call here the popular informal neighborhoods, which have grown a lot in the last 20-30 years, but that this administration is trying to integrate with formal setting and with like social housing into the city. So our sample is representative for all the city, but has a particular focus in these neighborhoods because we want to learn about how are they integrating into the formal part of the city and become a more homogeneous urban design. Then we have other restrictions that have to do with the legal bureaucracy. It is not so easy for a government, for a subnational government, to sign an agreement with an international organization. We have to go through many bureaucratic procedures. And here also I want to acknowledge the needed support to be flexible, to flexibilize or to be more kind with certain legal requirements, because otherwise we couldn't have been able to be part of the project. And the other challenge that I think that you already mentioned was the time, because most of the countries have been working on this survey and in the field for the last 2 years. And in order for us to be able to have the data, we have to do the field work in only 2 months. So here the solution that we put together was to have like a very well-trained and all the resources that we have available at the Bureau allocated for this project. And as you will see in the next 2 slides, we are doing, I think, well, you will say it to us, but I believe that we are doing pretty well and we will be able to meet the deadlines. The other constraint with time was the time from our donor, because they also wanted the data to be ready by the end of this year, so they will be able to use it and feed their report. So we have to work a lot and in a very efficient manner in order to meet all these time requirements. If we can go to the next one, please, Lynn. So this is our timeline. We have started last month with a box visit to Buenos Aires, where we finalized the adaptation of the survey. We have the survey translated because last year, not last year, the year before, we conducted a pilot, and we learned a lot about what questions did not work and the time that we needed for the survey. But for the main survey, not the pilot, we did other changes. Just to mention a couple, we changed some questions regarding the price of the property because the way it is asked in the regular questionnaire is not applicable to Argentina. Here, most of the prices of the properties are in dollars, and people will not be able to answer in the way that it was asked before. And also, we changed the occupation, because as I mentioned before, we want this data to be comparable or to be interoperable with other data that we are producing. So we changed the way that we name the occupations, similar to our labor and occupation survey that has been endorsed by the International Labor Organization. So we can use this data in a comparative manner with other surveys. Then we did the training. And here, the training that we conducted, which worked very well, was not only for the interviewers, but also for the what we call the people who work in recovery, the recovers, and the supervisors. We have a very strong team working in the field. And this is important to mention. We are working with two systems. We are working with the Blaze that all the countries work, but also with another locally developed system that allow us to track the path that every surveyor makes and to understand why some surveys were not able to be completed. With that information, the supervisors can check what happened and recover or complete the survey if it was not completed by the day that the surveyor went to the house. And to us, this is a part of the key of our success. I will show you the data later, but we have been able to recover and to reschedule many surveys thanks to our own data tracker system. And I have to say, given that we are in a collaborative and exchange environment, that sometimes working with the two systems has been a little bit complicated. That the Blaze is not friendly enough, and sometimes it produces some problems that makes the field to go slower than if we could have worked with our own survey methods. We have a team of 35 numerators that could look a little bit small, but they are very professional. They are very used to do this sort of work. And as I was telling Boxic and Lynn before, we are today, for example, and not today, the day before, yesterday, they overcome the goal of each surveyor, and we wanted to administrate more surveys than we were assigned for the day. So if everything goes as it's going, we are confident that we will be able to meet the deadline to end the field work by the end of November and to work in the processing of the results between December and January. And our expectation is to have the first preliminary results by March for Women's Day, to be able to show some of the results that GGS is showing. But we have a larger timeline, and as I mentioned before, we really want to have like joint publications with you to organize exchange academic activities. And here I would like to learn from your former experience is what has been successful in your cases in order to engage with researchers, to engage with academic institutions for them to use the data, and also how you have been, and I learned a little bit in the former seminar on how you also use this data to influence policy making, because to us this is really key. If we can move to the next slide, please, Lynn. So these are the results of the first 3 weeks of our field work. We have when we designed the sample, we wanted to have a 40% of effectiveness, and in the first 3 weeks, we almost reached this target because we visited 500 dwellings. And we got a 35% of effectiveness that is increasing this week. While doing the field work, we didn't have many significant problems. People were the survey is long, but people were very, very open to answer the questions. Here in Buenos Aires, as well as in Montevideo, we drink this where is the camera here? This this drink that is called mate, and because it takes so long for answering people to answer the survey, people generally invite the surveyors into their houses and share this drink with them while they are answering. We have many anecdotes about people who were like cooking and say, okay, come in, and while I'm finishing cooking, I can answer the questionnaire, which is not so common. Like, but given the nature of this survey, people are more likely to tell about their own stories and share their information with other surveyors. We did have a problem because, as I mentioned before, the national census took place in May this year. So when we go and knock the doors, despite the people have been informed before with a letter that explains the objective of the survey, and that this is being conducted by Buenos Aires City Statistics Bureau and not the National Statistic Institutes, that are both located in the same place but are different institutions. People ask, why are you conducting the census again? So here we have to have like a clear statement about that this is a different survey, and we call it a study. We tell them that this is a study, a more deep research. And interesting enough, people received the letter that was sent 1 week or 2 weeks ago, and they phone us because there is a phone where they can check the identity of the surveyor and also ask questions. And we have received many questions about why are you doing the census again. So this is something to bear in mind for the next time in 3 years. There will not be a census, but not to conduct this sort of field work so close, because it could create some sort of confusion. If you can move to the next one. The next one is that I am open for questions. We don't have much to say because the work has just started, but so far we are very, 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 very happy and believe that we will end in the same way that we have started.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation, Marisa. I am now going to open up the floor to questions to Marisa. And just to remind you, there are 2 ways you can pose your questions. You can either type them in the Q&A, or you could raise your hand, and then I can allow you to speak up in person. While I'll give you a bit of time to come up with your questions. I saw a raised hand, but now it's gone again. While I'll give you the people in the audience a bit of time to come up with their questions, I was wondering, Marisa, if you could say maybe a little bit more about the system that allows you to complete the surveys. Especially, does it work that it allows you to reschedule the appointment, or could you explain a little bit more? Because I assume that it's not the case that the team themselves complete the surveys, but that it has something to do with rescheduling and trying to revisit the address, correct?
Could yes, exactly. That's the point, is to revisit and to reschedule, to revisit, but also to check the consistency. We, with our supervisors, have a method that they recontact some households, and they ask not all the questionnaire again, but some questions in order to check if the surveyor did collect the data properly.
Great, thank you for
and this could be done by 2 methods, either by visiting the house again or by phoning them.
Okay. I might pose another question while I wait if anything happens in the Q&A, because now as part of your presentation, you didn't really say that much about the sampling frame yet, but I know that you prepared a bit of information on that, so it might be interesting for people to also know a bit about how the sample was drawn.
Sure. I'm now sharing my screen. This is what we've shown in the former GGS seminar, and this is how the sample was prepared. We've used like 2 stages to build the sample. The first one, we use the census radius to create the primary sampling units, and we have a very updated information because the census took place just two months ago. And after that, we stratified this information into 5 socioeconomic strata. We use the Stanford method, and then in the second stage, we selected 20 houses for this from these ECUs, and this gave us a total of some 6,200 dwellings. Here it is with the expected effectiveness of 40%, that we are almost there, and we targeted the population between 18 and 79 years old. And well, and so far it is working.
If you could stop sharing.
Sure.
Thank you. Let's see. I'm just going to consult the Q&A. I just saw that Arike raised her hand. So I'm going to give the floor to Arike Rijker from GGP Hub. Go ahead.
Thank you. So did I understand correctly that the interviewers go to the house and often do the interview right away, even though the person is cooking or something, so they don't make an appointment, but they really often are invited to do it right away? Or
this is, to our surprise, this is what is happening. We were not expecting this to happen because of the length of the survey, but this is what is taking place. Like most of them say, okay, we have a lot of experience doing this sort of surveys. So it's not that we go when we know that we will be able to find people. And to be honest, something that we believe is also helping is that after the pandemic, most of, not most, but those people who have the chance to do home office, they do that. So we are able to find more people at their houses than in former field works. In some cases, we reschedule, but to our surprise, we are being very effective in finding the people and in finding people who want to answer this long survey.
And could you also tell me a bit more about the selection procedure for selecting a respondent in the household, or did I miss that in the presentation?
No, I did not mention that. But we do this with the lottery, like that. What I mentioned is that we have like we use 2 systems: the Blaze and our own system, where we are able to register the house, the number of people who live there, who are the members of the household. After we complete all this information, our own system makes this lottery and selects the person. Here, it's not that we always find the person in the house, and this is when the rescheduling takes place. But if the person is there, we move forward and we do it until the person is tired of answering. But so far, we are also surprised. We were not expecting to have this rate of success. Also because we have been exchanging not only with GGP in general, but also with our colleagues from Montevideo, based on their experience and given that their fieldwork has been taking longer. We were with a lot of doubts because we didn't have that time. So we say, okay, we were thinking of other strategies in order to speed up, and also because we have another challenge, that is that we have to end not only because of the donors' requirements and and GGP requirements, but also because summer is coming in this part of the globe. And generally in like January, in the city of Buenos Aires, most of the people who can take vacations. So this was another challenge, and we wanted to finish by the end of November. And we have been lucky. I have to say that the training was really good, and also that our team is very professional. They know how to engage with households, with people who want to answer. They are very friendly, and different to what I've been reading and learning in other seminars. We do not offer any sort of money reward, any sort of incentive. It's like just this is we are part of the government. We want to collect data about the population. We want to produce information about how we live in the city, and we will tell you later about the results, and just that.
Okay, great to hear that it's such a success. And my next question would have been if you offer any incentives, but you answered that as well. So thank you. Yeah.
No, we have never done this. This was new to us to learn that other institutes use this method in order to engage with the population.
I can also ask the question. It's a common thing in Uruguay when they have a refusal, which is rather soft. They send another interviewer, maybe more experienced one, whose aim is to convert this refusal into the interview. Do you have similar experiences?
Yes, we do. We do. This is why we are part of the reason of using our own system. Has to do with that, because there we can read why were the reasons for this person not willing to answer. And with that information, the supervisor read its processes, reach the person again, and try to convince to answer the questionnaire. And again, given that we are here exchanging, this is why we believe that having only one system well integrated will make the whole process easier and more friendly, because by using only the Blaze, we will not be able to do that. And the other thing, I think that I was emphatic enough, but we are very happy with the results that we have achieved so far, but still we have our concerns about the future. Like, we want this to be really a good precedent to have the first panel survey in Argentina, but we are not 100% confident that this will happen. So here I would like to work more strongly as a consortium, as a collective action, in order to for the whole program to be well funded, to have like some sort of endowment or some sort of sponsorship that will allow all countries to be able to continue be part of the program. In our case, well, and Boxic knows this very well, because we were like, yes, they're going to make it. No. We were like in a moment kind of desperate because we couldn't find the money, and we have allocated the time, the resources. Like, our whole planning process was focused on doing this because this was really relevant. But not having the budget is a serious constraint for global South cities or countries. So I was wondering if, as part of the 2023 agenda, we could do something in order to make the whole process more sustainable.
I think that might be a very interesting and valid point to conclude on, that in terms of fieldwork operations for GGS budget constraints and finding the right partners to fund the research is always a challenge, also not just for the Buenos Aires team, but I think that's something that other regional teams or national teams also are confronted with. In terms of time, I'm gonna conclude the session for today. First, by thanking Marisa for this very interesting presentation and giving us some insight from Argentina, from Buenos Aires specifically, on their current fielding of GGS. I'm also going to say thank you to the people who attended the webinar today. Thank you very much for rejoining us after the summer. And please join us again on the 11th of October, which is in 3 weeks' time. And then it will be the GGP Hub Methods group actually presenting some insights on the work they have been doing. So please do join on the 11th of October for that webinar. On that note, I'm going to formally close this session. If you wish to hang back and talk to Marisa afterwards, please stay online. But for now, I'm going to say thank you very much and have a good afternoon. Goodbye.